And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Train of Thought on 92.3 The Train. This morning, we have Senator George Edwards standing by in Annapolis to talk about issues affecting Garrett County. Good morning, Senator.
How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing pretty good. How's
the weather up there?
Well, it's not as warm as it has been. We got a little rain last night, but in the 20s and teens this morning in some areas around us. So it's back to where it should be in March, but we're looking for 60 degrees on Sunday, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, it was like summer down here yesterday.
Yeah. Did you wear a jacket?
I wear a dress jacket. That's it. I don't put anything else, no coat or jacket over that, no.
All right. Hey, we were talking right before we went on the air this morning on Train of Thought about the situation regarding the budget, and you said there's some pretty good news in there for Garrett County. What can you tell us?
Well, the Budget and Tax Committee, which I serve on, finished up the budget in committee yesterday. It'll be on the floor either today or Monday, and there are a few good things in there. Hopefully we can keep them in there. Keep in mind that the House has to do their thing, and then there'll be a conference committee, and there'll be yet another approach to this. But in the BARFA, which is a four-bill proposal in the Senate, one's the budget, one's the BARFA, one's the revenue bill, and one is the maintenance of effort bill. In the BARFA, we have 1.1, I'll just round this off, $1.15 million for the cap bill. The bill we put in says you couldn't lose more than 5%. So we're putting it in the BARFA so the bill won't pass, but it's the same approach we took last year, if you remember. And I still think Garrett's the only one that's eligible, so that hopefully stays in through the whole process, and Garrett will get 1.15, somewhere in that neighborhood, $1 million for education, which should be of pretty good help to the county. We were able to maintain the coal tax credit, which is also in the BARFA. So those are two good things that I think. Well, there's a lot of other things that are going to be beneficial, but those are two things that are on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, in your discussions with the local officials here, the commissioners and the Board of Education, that $1.15 million, that if you can get that through the entire assembly and to the governor and passed and everything, does that save a school, or how did they give you any indication of how it would shake out?
No, it's just that the county would not lose that amount of money. So that, in other words, the state wouldn't take it away. The total of about 2.3, so it'd be whatever 2.324 million minus the 1.1, which numbers I've heard from the school board was that probably would save one, maybe two of the schools, at least for the coming year, and give the county time to look forward and see what they can or can't do, and see if the revenues are going to improve for the county in the following year to allow them to keep the schools doors open in those areas where they're talking about shutting them down. Now, also in the BARFA, we passed the switchback of the pension to the counties, but it's a lot better deal than what the governor was talking about. His would have done it all at one time. This does it over 4 years. It excludes and takes out libraries, community colleges, and teachers who are federally funded. So the number drops considerably and spread out over 4 years. And on the spreadsheet, if these numbers pan out, and they're all just guesstimates, so it's hard to say for sure. But in Garrett's case, if the numbers come in and everything, let's just say if the Senate version of all this passes, Garrett really wouldn't have to pay anything on that till like the fourth year, and it would be minimal at that point in time. So it's a lot smoother transition. We've thrown in some revenue offsets. In other words, we're giving the county some other monies, or saying you don't have to pay certain other things, which allows them to keep money, which helps offset the pension switch costs. So if the numbers pan out, Garrett wouldn't pay anything until into the fourth year, which is real good in my opinion. It's a lot better than doing it all in 1 year. And of course, the governor's bill includes libraries, community colleges, and these federal teachers or teachers who are paid by federal money. So the county actually, if the numbers come in, gains some money over the first 3 years, which helps them out, I think, considerably.
I would say if this goes through, you could hear a couple of county commissioners, if not all three, breathing a sigh of relief.
It is very helpful to the counties. Again, these are just guesstimates, and this is just the first 10 yards of this ball game, getting it out of the Budget and Tax Committee. But I'm sure it'll pass the Senate floor. But the House, it always happens, they have a little bit different, so they can get in there and argue a little bit. But hopefully these approaches that the Senate put on basically stay intact, and I think it's the most beneficial approach I've seen yet to handing back, for a better way, say, or giving the pension cost to the counties, because again, in the first 3 years, again, if the numbers pan out, Garrett actually is in the plus category till they hit the 4th year, and then it's a minimal amount. And with the 1.15, we keep that in there. That's going to help them out considerably in this coming year in their education budget. So, this 2 years in a row, I'm not sure we can do it 3 years in a row, especially if we pass all this other stuff. But if we pass all this other stuff, they'll have a better financial flow and should be able to be a lot more helpful. And it looks like assessments are starting to level off somewhat, so they shouldn't keep dropping in money, and it looks like maybe student loss, and that's one of the big factors, is starting to smooth out just a little bit also.
Being a former member of the House of Delegates, is there a chance you'd be on the conference committee that would negotiate with the House what would eventually go before both houses and then to the governor?
Well, I was on it last year, and a lot of it's political, as you can understand. But usually, if you don't vote for the budget, you don't get on the conference committee. I voted for 3 out of the 4 parts of the package. So if it goes through, I mean, who knows? It depends, and they sometimes go by seniority. And there's another Republican has more seniority than I do, and depending how he votes, he would probably be the one to be on it. But I was on it last year. I was on actually 3 conference committees: the budget, the BRFA, and the capital budget. And I am on the capital budget, and we're not done there yet. That'll follow up shortly after, now that we finished the operating budget. So, but the conferees usually support your side of the position. So if I'm not on there, whoever is would be supportive of what the Senate did in this case and try to hold our ground.
Okay. There's another doomsday budget out there. I was kind of joking with you before we went on the air. You've probably been through about 10 of these so far in your 30 years at Annapolis. What's your take on it?
Well, it's, I would have preferred, instead of the doomsday, to look at see what amount of revenues we would save by just level funding everything. And I'd had staff do that for the subcommittee I'm on and the departments we deal with. And if you just level funded those departments at the 2012 working appropriation and took the cuts that would take some of them below the 2012 that the Department of Legislative Services recommended, and then just level funded from that point, for just for our departments we deal with, you'd save $76 million. To me, that's a fair approach. You're treating everybody the same, and actually you're not cutting anybody's budget because you give them the same amount they got last year. They were too far into what's being called the doomsday budget, I think, to really take a look, although I think I have them thinking about it, and I know there's someone else putting this together for all the subcommittees, which there's 3 subcommittees in the Senate, and then the full committee does a lot of departments. So even if you just said each one saves $76 million, or to make math easy, or $100 million, if you average it out, that would be $400 million saved, and really wouldn't be cutting anybody's budgets because you haven't adopted one. So you'd just be, say, here, you get $10 last year, you get $10 this year. What they did is went down through a whole list of things and picked, and for a better way to say it, picked and choose certain things based really on what the hierarchy, that's usually the way it works, want, and they threw out the word doomsday budget. And I give the leadership credit that at least they're pushing the recognition that we do have a financial problem in this state, a fiscal problem, and we really need to deal with it. So what transpired yesterday is we did pass the doomsday budget, but it only takes effect if the revenue part doesn't pass. So if the revenue part passes, the doomsday budget doesn't go into effect. If the revenue part doesn't pass, the doomsday budget goes into effect.